clips of Hattie shooting the basketball now, and I like this position a lot. I like how her elbow, her arm is angled in this degree, or this angle, I should say, here, where her elbow is pointing down just outside of her right foot. We don't want it tucked in. We want it just like that. I like how her hand is under the ball and not necessarily on one of the sides of it. Really good follow through here. We need to get that middle finger snapping down. And when that middle finger snaps down, we want it pointing directly at her elbow. This was my favorite clip of everything I watched today, as the sequencing here is perfect. She got the basketball organized in her hand, and immediately the tailbone drops. And that's going to help her so much in propelling the basketball to the rim. And that's another thing that we've got to spend a lot of time with her on, and reinforcing and getting that left foot back. That's going to make her stronger and reinforce the fact that that right foot of hers, that right leg, is her power foot.
Good. Good. All right, now let's start over here. Toss it, extend it to yourself, get it, and then the same thing on. You got side. On the left, we'll dribble back out, or we'll dribble with our right.
So I'm glad you sent that text to me. This is like the fourth time I've watched this before I've clipped it. And you're exactly right, Chris. We need to get her jumping up more versus jumping in.
Try to get it up on the backboard. That's going to be a big thing.
And the best way to do that is, if it's a right-handed layup, the right knee and the right elbow, we make believe they're connected to each other. There's a string connecting those two. And the right knee, when the right elbow goes up to the backboard, the right knee propels the body up.
Use the backboard when you can on your lay-ins. That's going to make a big difference in your field goal percentage. Good. Good. Good, good, good.
She's picked this up really well. We need to get this foot, her attack foot, squared or parallel. We do it just a little bit behind on these types of moves to allocate better balance.
Good.
Looking here, we need to get the hand on the release again, with the fingers pointing down, with the middle finger pointing directly at this elbow. This is an indication again that her guide hand is helping her push the ball up to the basket. So we want this guide hand to be facing the wall over here.
Good deal. Good. Okay. Now start on the other side of the D hand. Good. Good. Good.
Now, one of the things I get asked a lot by parents, which is a really good question, is why are we spending so much time on these types of shots? And obviously, the number one answer is so she can make them, but number two is so as she advances, she's learning how to make these moves without traveling. When young people learn how to do something incorrectly, it makes it a heck of a lot harder to fix later on down the road.
Good, good. Good.
And on this one,
Good. Good. Good, good, good.
yeah,
Good.
right there, we can see he makes a reverse pivot.
Good.
Not this one, this one.
Okay, now you did something there that was really.
So that's a reverse pivot where she caught the ball with her outside foot as her pivot foot. And that's not awful. I think it does lend to confusion when we mix up how we do it. In a perfect world, her right foot would have been her pivot foot. But if she swings open now, what we'll see is
Good.
the pivot foot lifted before the ball went down. So that with a good officiating crew, definitely at a high school level, that's going to be called a travel.
Okay, now you did something there that was really, really neat. Good. Good. So, we always have our hands on the ball. Always want to look like we're ready to shoot, right? So our tail moves down on a shot fake. Your body doesn't move up and down, just your arms in the basketball.
And this is really important. Too many players get to the high school level, and when they shot fake, the entire body moves up and down, and that allocates traveling. It's wasted motion. You want to keep your body compressed, your tailbone down on a shot fake. The ball comes up to the point where your index finger is level with the dominant eyebrow. So the ball goes up slow on a shot fake and then down fast into the holster.
She's going to bring it up, so this finger.
In the entire time on a shot fake, the eyes are focused on the rim.
The catching the ball, hands on the ball shot. So let's square that right. There you go. There you go. There you go. Now you're going to be able to shoot it or shot fake or drive. Okay. Or maybe. Bring it through. There you go. That's it. Now look down. Now your right foot is leading in.
Okay, so we're talking about getting our feet square here as she's pivoted to face the
And that's what you want. Throw in your shot fake.
And we need to get that tailbone compressed, get it down, get that thing down. We want that tailbone down or her knees kinked, whichever makes more sense to her terminology wise. Get that tailbone down on the shot fake. The only thing that moves are the arms in the basketball.
Bring it through. Good. Good. Slow, slow, slow. And as you get better, we go.
Step, good.
Either way, you can go off of this side of the tackling dummy or this side, it doesn't matter. Good. And then jump stop.
And this action here,
Spin it. Spin it. And come back. Yeah. Okay.
Self-correction's huge.
Good. You can go either way. You can go off of this side of the tackling dummy, or this side, that matters. Good.
We want that action. We want her inside shoulder making contact with that tackling dummy, and the visual, the mental image is her inside shoulder just scraped the outside hip when she's traveling this way. When she's traveling to her right, we want her inside shoulder scraping the outside hip of that alleged defensive player. And what that means is, A, she's driving in a straight line, which is huge, absolutely huge. Two, it means she's going to put the defense in a disadvantage by having to move more so behind her than cut her off in a frontal position. And all of those things lead to putting the defense in a much more higher probability of fouling her.
Jump stop. Shot finish. Okay, and then after you shoot, after you pick your dribble off, make a jump. Good.
And here, let's see if she jumps up or in. Okay, jump in. We jump up, and two, she didn't clip the tackle dummy, so we want her to clip that tackle dummy. Okay. This is something that is a great separator for all people, especially young people in the game of basketball, and that is going to get the ball. I used to call it running through the pass, but you never want to be lethargic when you're approaching the basketball. You want to run through the pass and catch it and get square and make that all seamless or as much as one motion as possible. But players who learn to run through the pass have a greater advantage, have a outstanding, remarkable advantage over players who don't. And this is something else I wanted to bring up. Go get the ball. As soon as she releases the ball here, as soon as she throws it to that wall, I want her to sprint. Sprint. When I was coaching and the kids would come over after school, primarily the guards, when we were allowed to work with 4 people at a time via OHSA rules, we would spend 20 minutes on this, and with younger kids, even more. Throwing the thing against the wall and go get the ball. Run through the ball. And that's another thing that allocates the thought of reaching for the ball with your pivot foot, with your inside pivot foot. And that acts as a shield versus the defensive player, which again puts the defense in a situation to foul the offensive player. Go get it. Go get it. Go get it. Okay. Another thing that's really important, more so for her future well-being physically than now, is landing with loud feet. When people land with loud feet, no matter if it's jumping rope or just jumping or jump shooting, that means they're landing flat-footed. And what that'll end up doing to her in the future, primarily when she's done growing, is it's going to create a lot of stress on her plantar fascia. And we don't want that. We don't want her to have any part of plantar fasciitis, which is a very common injury in volleyball players and basketball players. And once someone has plantar fasciitis, it is a nightmare to get rid of, and it's going to reoccur a lot. I'm in my middle 50s and I'm still dealing with it from landing with loud feet and combined with playing on blacktop all the time when I was her age. But we want to get those feet softened up. She wants to land on the balls of her feet. And most kids pick that up the best by just using the terminology landing with quiet feet.
Good. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up.
Look at the ball.
Good. Keep.
Okay. We can see here that her feet are not parallel. They're not they're not equidistant. They're she's got one foot staggered out in front of the other one. We want those feet to be even with her. And we want the feet to be at the same height. That way when she lands on 2 feet simultaneously. And what that allows her to do is choose which foot she's going to pivot on. As of right now, when she's going to land, that right foot's going to come down first with the left coming down second. And now she's already established that foot, her right foot, as her pivot foot, and that makes it harder for her to make an up and under move or a solid step across move or any move where she's limited as to what foot she can pivot on now. Okay, we need to get those fingers down on her right hand, and we need to get that palm facing this wall.
Good. Keep it up. A couple more.
Ball. And let's back that up. This is something else I wanted to make a quick point on.
Put up. A couple more.
Okay, so as she tosses the ball to the wall, we need to get her with her inside foot, which in this instance is her left foot, reaching for that basketball with her hands. And again, that's going to shield off the defense, and it's going to allow her to square up pivoting on her inside pivot foot. Tailbone needs to be down. We need to compress her body. The knees need to be bent.
All right. Now, there's some.
Okay. As you can see at the end of that shot, she's still jumping in towards the wall instead of jumping up. And we can hear how loud her landing is.
Good. Keep it up. Good.
That was. I know she muffed the ball, but still, that time her foot will be better.
That's it. Go get it. Go get it.
Right there. That was a much better job, but now we need to get it even more exaggerated. Reach for the ball with that inside foot.
Square. Right. Better. There.
On the landing, you can see how vertical she is versus compressing her body.
That's it. Go get it. Go get it. Go get it. Square.
Yeah, we need to get that tailbone down, and that's going to allocate much more power for her.
Right. Better.
Now, another point that for some kids, it takes a lot of time for them to grasp is this stuff isn't, it's not flashy, it's not glittery, it's not something that is really thought of as being fun or exciting, but it is stuff that is mundane, but is absolutely essential to becoming the best player one can be. Learning these things at her age are going to propel her up the ladder much quicker than the people who are learning this stuff at a later age. And it does get boring and it does get mundane, but it's part of a skill set that has to be learned.
We're going to do the same thing now using these spots. And sitting to the right foot out. Left, right shot.
Okay, that's good. I'd like to see her dip her tailbone just a little bit more and learning the difference between catching a basketball from an inside to out pass, which we're working on now, versus angling where you're cutting to the ball and you have to catch it, run through the pass, establish a pivot foot, establish an attack foot, and get square. Learning that on inside to out passes, she's always going to step left, right shot. Always.
Patty, shoot from that spot again, please. Yep.
It's the quad.
Yep.
Let's watch her follow through. So the right hand needs to be up above her eyebrow. It needs to be more over here. The guide hand is much better this time. As you can see, the palm of the hand is facing this wall. And I'm fairly certain that her arms are in incorrect positioning because she's using almost all arms to propel the ball up to the rim. And I need to spend more time with her on using her lower body, using her quadriceps, using her calves, using her feet, heel toe, powering up. Shot starts from the ground up. And if it's all arm shooters are extremely inconsistent.
Now, does that feel different? How does it feel different? Tell me what it feels.
And this is something else that's vital no matter what age group we're working with, is talking to the kids about feeling. What did it feel like physically? What did it feel like? And once they can identify the feeling of doing something right, then it's much easier to Xerox that and copy it and continuously doing it. It's also vital for any serious student to talk about how did they feel mentally when they were successful or when they executed something perfectly. And then again, you're making it available to be copied or to be Xeroxed, and identifying that mental state or that mental feel, if you will, is absolutely crucial. A lot of coaches call it being in the zone, and then the big key is finding out how to get back into the zone. And the best players, when they keep their journals, they write down, they track how they felt physically, how they thought about it, what was in their mind. Um, One of the, if not the best player who I ever coached, had a just a fantastic game. He was well outside of his normal mechanics, well outside of his normal statistics. And when we talked to him about his feeling, he had listened to a certain song, and that song had done something cognitively to him. I don't know if it raised his dopamine level, but we now had a really good idea of what it took to get him in that zone. And when people say executing an athletic endeavor successfully is like an opiate, it is. It has such an effect on brain chemistry. And again, now we can talk again about replicating it or Xeroxing it. But the key is being able to identify the feeling. And the best way, in my estimation, of doing that is writing it down. Writing it down, having referencing, being able to go back and reference. One of the smartest things young players do, I shouldn't even say young, all players who are serious. One of the smartest things they do after a poor performance or a poor workout where they felt like they were just running through the mud or treading water, they weren't getting anything accomplished, is going back to their journal and finding somewhere where they've written down after what they wrote down after a really good performance or a great workout. And that's a great way to change that mindset and get back on the train tracks of success. And it's a lot easier to do that when we write it down and we can go back and reference it. And I want to make sure I add this too. What we just talked about, the sports psychology aspect of development and improvement, is another great separator when it comes to athletics. A great separator. Um, Years and years and years and years ago, when I was in elementary school, John Ritter, who was the star of a sitcom named Three's Company, he came out with a learning, or he would probably, should probably say he was the spokesperson for a learning endeavor or system where it was designed for students who were failing in certain subjects or couldn't grasp them. And it all started off with brass tacks, the most basic things. And one of the things I remember from my days being involved in this system was John Ritter said, if you do really well on a test, put that pencil in an envelope and label the envelope and put it away. Don't touch that pencil again until it's time for your next test. Or more importantly, until the next time you're taking a test where you're prepared for. And it was all flowing back to the feeling of that pencil in the hand. The last time the person had that pencil, they had a great experience. And all of those things facilitate or fall back into this realm of mental imagery, having the ability to imagine yourself doing these things properly, mentally walking through them, and that, the Ark of the Covenant, replication, being able to do it again. And then you do it again and you do it again and you do it again, and you get to the point where it's second nature, second habit. And now real improvement starts. And now we go on to the next endeavor and we start back at brass tacks. And but the biggest thing is as we step up the ladder, so to speak, now we have a really good foundation of how to get back into that zone.
Nice.
Okay, free throws here. This is good. I watched this clip. This is 36:44 on the full clip. And this is good. The knees are kinked. We do need to get the tailbone down deeper. Not, I'm talking about maybe an inch or two at the most. That's it. But we want the shot to come from the ground up. So what I want to really watch here are how her feet react to the release of the basketball. And that's not bad, but we want her even up on the balls of her feet more. The follow through here is much better. The palm is facing the opposite wall versus facing where you were sitting at the desk. This is good. I like this arm movement. I like how it's cutting across the dominant eye. And I like how her fingers are at least extended forward. We need to get them down. We need to get them down. The wrist action involved in snapping that hand down, the dominant hand, is going to make her that much stronger of a shooter. But this is good. And now identifying how to make that happen, besides the tailbone dip, is we need to work on her holding her follow through for a longer period of time. That way she gets in the habit of replicating a really solid fundamental follow through. And that happens by holding it longer, holding that follow through longer. And a great mechanism is don't change your arm positioning and your hand positioning from your follow through until you see or hear the ball hit the floor. And this is something else I wanted to bring to your attention. Okay, we need to get this dribble more towards the right foot. That way we're not opening up so far. This is wasted motion. We don't want this. Okay. She says eyes to herself and the body goes into shot mode. Her shot line is outstanding. Here's her holster. Here's her shot line. Younger players will always have their elbow out farther because that makes them feel stronger. With age and practice, that elbow will come in just a little bit. Nothing gross, but just a little bit. And when she says eyes to herself, that tailbone needs to dip more. It needs to dip more. We want this knee, her left knee, being bent to the same degree or same angle as her right knee. That way, she's not putting too much pressure or stress on the right side of her body. Palm is great, much better than session number 1. Fingers here are really good. We've got the fingers snapping down finally. Now we just need to get that follow through up a hair and a hair to her right.
Slowly as you need. Okay, take the ball, drive, go, 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 go. Jump, stop, in front of the D-man.
Okay, couple things here.
Now, turn around, face the wall. Throw it off the wall. All right, toss the ball off the wall. Turn around, face the wall. Back up a little bit. That's it. And you're probably going to want to use the cement, not the pad. So you're going to throw the ball off the wall, off the bricks. That's it. Turn around, pivot, shot fake, drive, go, 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 jump, stop.
She does a really good job of leading out with the dribble, and that means the ball's being bounced in front of her, not to the side. which is really good. That's not the easiest thing in the world to get young players to do.
In front of the D-man.
We see now that the feet aren't equal. I like the elevation on her jump stop. We need to get her feet equal to each other, get the knees flexed a little bit more. And we need to get this hand, her dominant hand, on top of the ball versus the side of the ball. And we can see she's flipping the ball now and not shooting it. She's players who do that are afraid they're going to shoot the ball too hard or shoot a brick, so to speak. And we can't worry about that. We got to get that follow through up. Get that follow through up. Don't flip it. Shoot it.
Good. So make a free throw, Hattie. Sell your shot. Sell your shot.
This is really good. This is a great drill for players to do. You can do this. They can do this anywhere where they're starting in a certain spot, spinning it, getting it squaring properly with the inside pivot foot, with the attack foot swinging around square position. We need to get the ball up a little bit. The ball's too low. Get the ball up, but her shoulder and her hips are squared darn near perfectly. But again, the tailbone is just a wee bit too high. Need to get that tailbone down. Okay. This is all arms here. Her legs are flexed, but there's no dip with that tailbone. We need to sit a little bit before we shoot. Her right hand is still on the side of the ball versus being under it here. And when we talk about holding a follow through, we don't want this. We want that follow through up here. Get that left hand again facing the opposite wall.
That was good.
And there's another really good example. Okay, we can see that this shot again is all top loaded. The power's coming all from the torso and the arms. So we need to get the legs much more active into the shot. Look how far her elbow is out from her body. So that is a indication of throwing the ball versus shooting it. So we need to really focus on her. And I've already got next week's practice plan made where we're going to use some chairs. And that's something else. Once we do this, you'll be able to learn or be able to use, use at home. Follow through. Okay. Good here. Maybe it could be a little bit more to a right, but the arm or the hand, the guide hand, again, is being used way too much to power the basketball instead of guide the basketball. And we need to get that follow through being held long.
Very good.
Talking about.
Drive around the D-man. Shoot a layup.
Okay. So a lot of good things here, a lot of really good a lot of good things came from watching this film. I've spent a lot of time on this one. Lots of really good progress. Everything's heading in the right direction. And here's the thing that sounds crazy, but everything that needs fixed is fixable. Some of the kids I work with, some of the issues they have are fixable, but they're issues that are going to take a lot of time and a lot of rudimentary work. And I'm not sure yet some of those guys or gals are dedicated enough to spend time on the rudimentary work. Anybody and everybody can walk into a gym or walk up to a basketball goal and just start chucking shots up. It takes no talent. Anybody can do that. And it's easy. And everybody, I don't care if you're 55 or 15 or 10, everybody likes easy. Unfortunately, easy doesn't get us where we need to be if we're dedicated and we've got goals and we have a very narrow focus of what we want to get out of this game. And she does not fall into that category. All of her fundamental flaws are, I'm not ever going to say easily fixable, but they are very, very fixable with time and with concentration and with focus. And that's something else I want to start talking to her about is focus is a fundamental. Focus isn't just something for the classroom. Focusing is a fundamental. It's just as important as pivoting or shooting or catching or defense or any of those things. When young students learn the value of focusing and treating focusing as if it's an important skill or fundamental, their improvement skyrockets pretty darn fast. So these are all things that I think are really good for Yellow Jacket. Really good. So moving on, getting that tailbone down, getting the shot started from the ground up, working on power, working on generating power from her lower body, working on quiet landings on her jump stop, working on jumping vertically versus jumping in on her lay-ins, and even on her jump shots. There are times where she's jumping too far in, and then holding that follow through is going to be remarkable. It's going to be something that's very, very important to her. So I'm going to email you her journal. I'm not quite done with it yet, but I'm going to have editing rights for everybody involved, and she'll be able to edit it how she sees it. And then that also allows me to continuously add things to her journal. She's going to get two. She's going to get a journal that she can use on her phone, which is just going to be a Google Doc. And then I'm going to print everything out. And she'll also have one she can write in. And the reason behind that is she might not want to take a journal with her everywhere, the physical journal, so to speak, or the tangible journal, but it will give her something to write in when she's working at home or working alone. And I do think physically writing on the paper supersedes using our thumbs and texting it on a phone or a device, whatever. I think it takes more thought. It definitely takes more discipline. And I do think it allocates deeper thinking. So I will give those to you tomorrow, Chris. I'll email this to you tonight, and then give you the tangible journal. I'm just waiting on the cover to be laminated. Once I get that laminated cover back, it'll be ready to go. Okay, guys, thank you. Contact me if you have any questions. Don't hesitate. You've got my cell number and you've got all 26 of my email addresses, so don't hesitate to contact me.